So what I started saying is that it's much easier if we work much more on ourselves and not look at it as a journey to go without food. Because until now, I remained in the same type of balance. I started teaching more. I started seeing how I can play with it more. And I can tell you that it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's a challenge, but I think that we already understand that life is full of challenges. Otherwise, we wouldn't have come to this, I would say, not very light, full place. We actually stood in line. We are those masters. It's funny to think about us that way, but this is one of the most challenging places we can actually be. And that's why we wanted to do it, because we are God expanding ourselves, challenging ourselves, forgetting who we truly are in order for us to remember who we really are. We actually type of like heard a call coming from this planet, understanding that we are the ones that need to come and serve by working on our own light. And don't take, a lot of people get pressurized by this, thinking that they have a job to do. The only job we need to do is to be ourselves. But to be ourselves, it means we have to disengage from other things that are not good for us. Can you guys hear me well? Like, yeah, it's okay. It flows. There's no stopping. Do you want to change the internet connection?
Yeah, we're just changing it now because you've been breaking the last few minutes.
Okay, so let's do that.
Thank you. Sorry for interrupting the talk.
It's okay. Okay, great. So, in other words, don't be too harsh on yourself. If you're struggling now, struggling with the thought that you're going to become Breatharian, struggling with your family already, struggling with your emotions about this, or struggling with the path, let it go. Accept that right now maybe it's not the perfect time. But if you're willing to take this challenge, because it is a type of a challenge for a lot of people. For mental people, it will be easier for you to just, have a rule set. Until this date, this is what I'm going to eat. This is how many meditations I'm going to do, and do it in the right way, of course. Do it with a group, have an integration course, have people that support you while you're doing this. Because again, it's not easy for everyone. Everyone does it very, very differently. Everyone gets into a different percentage of prana after that in their life. So some people lose weight for 6 months. Some people don't lose weight at all. Some people can have like they run half marathons after 2 weeks, and that's quite amazing. I can tell you that what I see, it's usually easy for people who are in better shape. In other words, people who are actually using their body, and the body is not just something that they take, to the car, to the office, and back. People who exercise a little bit more. It's easier for people who are spending a little bit more time in nature, because nature is really, really full of prana. It's quite amazing. I did a reality show in Israel when I was already a breatharian, and we went for about a month and a half next to the Amazonas River. And I was quite amazed of how much energy you have there. And as you know, reality shows are full of like missions and tasks and dramas and a lot of like emotional obstacles and stuff like that. And really, just spending a little bit time outside, you won't even think about it. But inside, with concrete around us, with white walls and fluorescent lights and stuff like that, if we're not in a relationship, a supporting relationship, then we're actually fighting ourselves. There's a lot of challenges that come with this. However, some people seem to make it just look really, really easy. Sometimes they do it because they already were incarnated into this, sort of like Mozart and Beethoven grow up with a gift. So a lot of people already have the breatharian lifestyle embedded into their cells. So it's quite easy for them to adapt. I know that I'm one of those people because I'm supposed to, my destiny was to be a guide. Because when I start talking, I just see that everything kind of flows, the information and everything. So let's talk just a little bit about manifestation. Manifestation is one of those things that we do with a mental body. In other words, we understand what it is that we want. We become clear about our objectives. And this is something that sets us apart from all the other people. In other words, there's a lot of things that are flying around in the air, a lot of thoughts, a lot of emotions. And we are consciously and unconsciously creating our reality all the time. Now, we've already heard about this 1,000 times, but as you know, sometimes we need to hear things, see them from a different perspective until we actually get them and start living in that way. How much are we masters of our own thoughts? How much do we choose to see positive thoughts? and instead of negative? How much do we judge and criticize ourselves and other people and putting ourselves in a negative vibe? How much are we afraid of not being successful, not having enough money, being ridiculed, the way that we look, the way that we talk, the way other people think about us? How much energy do we put into that instead of just trying to be the best person that we can be? Understanding that maybe 10 years ago we were different. Maybe 10 years ago we were perfect for what we were back then. Because when we look, 10 years ago at the person that we were, we understand that back then we really did think that we have the best beliefs, the best relationship, the best type of work probably and stuff like that, the best friends. And today we look back at that and we say, oh my God, how much have I grown? How much have I changed in these last 10 years? And what do you think is going to happen 10 years from now? We're going to say exactly the same thing on the person that we are now. We're going to say, oh my God, who is that idiot? I had no idea who I am. I had no idea what my beliefs are. Everything changed so much and so drastically. Today, I think I know. Today, I have this belief. Today, I know who I am. Today, I have the best relationship and the best job, blah, 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 blah. So we keep on changing, but we have to understand that we are perfect as we are moving this, through this. It's sort of like the vegans that keep judging everyone. And it's so funny for me, especially as a Breatharian, because, the carnivores, they judge the vegans and the vegetarians for not having enough B12 or for eating their food. And then the vegans judge the vegetarians, and then the liquidarians judge the vegans, and then the breatharian can look at everybody and say, guys, you have no idea what you're into. You know all these beliefs about what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat, and all this judgment and stuff like that. But instead of that, everybody should look to the side and embrace each other. It's so hard for us to do that because we want to judge what we don't understand or what we used to be. 10 years ago, I used to eat meat. So what? 10 years ago, I didn't used to meditate. I was full of ego. I wanted to fuck every girl that I met. All these things changed because the ego minimized and there's more compassion. You want to make love and be understood much more than you want anything else. You want to give because you understand how much giving is actually getting back the love of the universe. And we change all the time, and we have to start embracing that we are perfect as we are for where we are right now. The challenges that we're going to face are challenges that we predetermined that we need to face. And this is why a lot of people hear this type of calling to be initiated into Breatharianism, because it's challenging in some way. It teaches us so much. Not only, I think the initiation is the easiest part, if done properly, of course, because you have the energy of the guide, you have all the higher selves that are here with you. And it's really, people say that doing it alone at home, the dry fast, it's hard. Why? Because you have so many things that are familiar. You have your pets, you have the fridge, you have everything that's in the fridge that's always emotionally healing you, plastering you and stuff like that. But when you do it properly, it's much easier. The challenge, the journey, the process begins in the end. When we look at ourselves and we see how higher self shows us all the things that we've done wrong until now, the people who are taking our energy that are still in our life, because some people are like clouds, only when they disappear, the sun really comes out. And we know that because when we think about someone that takes away our energy, there's a name that comes up. And when we think about someone that we need to go through a process of forgiveness, there's a name that comes up, if not 20 names that come up, And the first name is probably ourselves, and we haven't really realized that. So why am I talking about manifestation? Because to achieve manifestation, we have to know that there's 4 bodies, and we have to find the right balance. In other words, if I explain about one body, I want you to try to see if that particular body is powerful or if it's weak. So we all know that our mental body controls our belief system, and that drills down into the subconscious, and that eventually creates our body. So for example, the placebo effect, we know that if somebody gives us a medicine that we believe that medicine is going to heal us, or the doctor told us, then it's going to heal our body more than what it would have done on a chemical level, because our beliefs is so strong, and that's the mental body. Our emotional body, for women, usually the emotions are up and down. For men, it's a complete indifference. In other words, we are taught as men to ignore our emotions and not to listen to them, which are a part of our intuition. So both sexes have something that is off the chart. Spiritually, most people neglect the spiritual body. The spiritual body is the one that doesn't think, the one that works our intuition, the one that we work on when we meditate, connect with when we bless everything that has to do with nature and ourself. And the last body, of course, is the physical body. There's two basic things that most people know. That's exercise and eat right. But there's much more than that. There's all the antibiotics that we've taken all of our life that is sitting in our liver. There's all the things that we did on the body. There's the judgment of the body. As people eat today, they judge their body. When we're dancing on the dance floor, we're judging how other people see us. And then we're stepping out of that meditation. Because if we are dancing for our enjoyment and we don't think about how we look and what we're doing, we can dance for hours because we're just meditating. We're like a kid being in the present moment, playing in the, inventing a tea party or something like that. That's what we're doing, and that's the highest vibration. Because we all had those days that we had a new project that we were interested in, or working on something, art that we're doing, or being in love. And those are the days that the whole day goes by. We don't really think about food. We don't really think about drinking. We are in that high vibration, being in the moment. And we all want to live that way. But in order to live that way, we have to leave a few social constructs. For example, not everybody is suitable to working 5 days a week. Not everybody is suitable to being in, a monogamistic relationship. Not everybody is suitable to doing the things that people consider to be normal in this world. And the more we become who we truly are, the easier it is to become a breatharian. The easier it is to make manifestation work for us. Because in the beginning, we are moving from the having phase. In other words, we want to have respect, we want to have money, we want to have a relationship, we want to be a breatharian. And then on the other side of the scale, there's the being. We just are. We don't have any thoughts about the future. We're like in the Buddha state. But we are somewhere in between here. During our day, we change. In other words, when we are meditating, we're much more in the being. When we're waking up in the morning, if nobody gave us our coffee, sometimes we're in the having. I need my coffee right now. And sometimes during our work day, we're not very pleasant with everybody we're working with. We judge them. And then we're going back to the needing. Needing is having. And when we become a breatharian, suddenly there's a huge glimpse into this. And the higher self shows us the things that we need to work on, and it's not always pleasurable. Sometimes it's relationships, sometimes it's ourself, becoming more comfortable with who we are, with the things that we can't really change, with the acceptance of things that we can't really change. For example, I always have expectations of how many people are going to show up to a workshop. Grace probably had an expectation of how many people she wanted to come to the festival. She had like this great number, and then 40 people showed up. She was like, yeah, that's the way Spirit intended it to be. And these 40 are going to come here and learn as much as they need to learn because they have been called to. And this is the predetermined results that Spirit actually wanted. And when we tell ourselves that all the time and all the time and all the time, eventually we start understanding that everything is really perfect. And then the prana really starts to flow. Because it's not about learning always new things. It is about unlearning. It's about unthinking. It's moving between the having and the needing into the being much more. And I'm pretty sure that you get this sensation from most of the people that are living this lifestyle for a very long time. Because in the beginning, it was the challenge of finding the balance within all of our bodies. If the little kid inside of us, which is the emotional body, is not satisfied, and if we're not embracing our dark sides with the light side, and if we keep wanting aliens to come and save us, somebody to come and save us, and we need something from the outside, we're not getting it. It's an inner journey. And when we change whatever it is on the inside, something on the outside changes. For example, money is a problem for a lot of spiritual people. There's a lot of misbeliefs or limiting beliefs. One of those limiting beliefs is that we need less to have more. In other words, we tell the universe, we emanate from our heart that we don't need a lot. I can sleep in a tent and I can have a job that I work like that. And it's true. But I would prefer that the money of the world will be in the hands of people like you, much more than in the hands of people that have it right now. Imagine what you can do. You know, every process I donate a few $1,000s. You know that my wife buys every week baby food for other babies that we know that don't, like, one day she just came to me and she told me that there's babies that don't have any food. And I just imagine babies that cry because they can't eat and how their mother feels. And it's just, it killed me from the inside. So I told her, you know something? let's donate. But I don't want you to donate money. I want you to find these women and I want you to buy their baby food and just give it to them. So imagine what we would have if our limiting belief was moved from less is more into more is more. Because it's not about having more, but it's about what we emanate, because we can have more. And this is a materialistic plane. So why stop ourselves from having more? And the second limiting belief is that money is dirty, money is corrupt, money is manipulative, because we see the politicians and we see the people who are rich, and we don't want to be like them. You understand? It's an unconscious belief because everybody thinks that when they'll have a little bit more, everything will be better. And it's true from a very limiting place. In other words, when you have a certain amount that you have enough to eat and to have a roof over your head, from then on, it's a mind game. It's a mind game of wanting more, to have a bigger house, a bigger car, being in a different social circle and stuff like that. But it doesn't really bring us happiness. Actually, the statistics show quite the opposite. The more a person has, the more they define themselves by their money, and then they're afraid that their friends are their friends, that their wife or husband is their wife or husband because of their money, and then they have a fear of losing that because it becomes the definition of themselves. The more you have, the higher the chances are that you'll commit suicide. The higher the chances are that you're going through not one but two or three divorces. Look at Hollywood, for example. So there's a lot of misconceptions that I have to do about that. And when we find those limiting beliefs, then we need to know how to work on them. In other words, not to say judge ourselves for having that, but to know what we want to replace that. So, for example, when we understand that we feel unworthy, and that's why we have the limiting belief of less is more, then we should shift it into the more is more. Tell ourselves, you know something, Ray, you've had enough in this life. I'm already 37. I've experienced a lot. I've had ups and downs. You deserve more. And you know it's just a mindset, right? Your mind and your belief and the way you feel about things emanate to the outside, and the world will bring back as a reflection your strongest belief. Now, people who are born into wealth have this embedded in them from a very young age. I know because I have some friends like that. Sitting with them at Christmas dinner in the evenings, and I saw their conversations and how they perceive life, I understood that they already have that belief. In other words, we need to attain it in some way. And that's why it's harder for us, because there's a ladder of expectation of how big your salary is. There's a lot of expectation of how much you can actually grow within 1 year. And that expectation is a belief. And if you broke that expectation, you could have made huge leaps, huge leaps. So you can do that if you believe it. It can be something as simple as start charging more money because you believe that you deserve more, and then people see that you believe in yourself, and therefore they're willing to pay you more. I worked 5 days a week as an IT engineer for many years, and then one day I told myself, enough is enough. I want to go down to 3 days. And when I did that, and you all have that friend, that went down to 3 days a week or started working in something that they enjoyed, even though because they were suffering in the old job, even though they were afraid that they won't be able to, make enough, da, 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 da. After a while, because they enjoy and they have excitement of what it is that they do, they get into that higher vibration. And in other words, that higher vibration immediately opens up new streams of revenue, new circumstances, new people that are supposed to be aligned with your new higher vibration. So it's about trust, letting go, acceptance, all those mindful things that we can do. Now, there's a few things that we don't use, or most people don't use. The first is our imagination. If I were to tell you, imagine a color that doesn't exist, then you would be stuck. Even though you really want to, we think our imagination is unlimited, but it is, because it's a part of the box, a part of that thing that we put here, a part of the mind. And the second thing is the intuition. The intuition, the intention. And the intention is very different from the wanting. When you intend, you will. I want to be in better shape. I want to, I don't know, to exercise a few times a week. But if I have how would you say this? A standard of exercising 2 times a week, that's very different. If I'm a woman that always dates the wrong type of guy, that always cheats on me, that disrespects me, I want a better partner. But do I intend to have a better partner? Am I going to sit in a date, and when I see that this person, I intuitively feel that is not for me, but my mind really wants a relationship right now. But if I have a high standard, I would walk away. For example, a lot of us want to be in better shape. If we have a standard of exercising twice a week, it's different than wanting to exercise twice a week. Because then if we exercise only one time or 0 times, something will feel off for us. So change whatever it is that you want into having a higher standard of yourself, for everything, for your job, for your relationship, for those things that you do for yourself. And intuition, you know that feeling that we sit with someone for the first time and we look at them and then we feel something about them. What is it that we feel? If it's a date, we feel that maybe they are good for us, maybe it's not. If it's a business meeting, if it's even sitting in an office or going to a job interview, maybe we feel that something is not really right for us right now. But then the mind comes in and the mind says, you know something, but she's so beautiful. It doesn't matter, it's okay that the intuition tells me that it's off. I don't really know her, you know? Or maybe if we're sitting in a business meeting and then the mind will go, but these guys have a lot of money. These guys control this and this, company or whatever. And the intuition says something completely different. It says, no, don't be here. Go away. It doesn't fit. Something here is misaligned. And then you continue because the mind told you something, and usually we listen to the mind. And after a few months, it blows up in our face. The relationship blows up, and then we look back and we ask, wait a second. My intuition told me something. Why didn't I listen? Why didn't I do anything in that moment in time? Because the mind interfered. So those are 3 tools. Imagination. You remember when we started, when we were teenagers and the first times that we were masturbating and stuff like that, we couldn't do it unless we would have used our imagination, because our imagination triggers the physical body. That's what we do when we are, breathing in prana. We're using the imaginations, we visualize, and we bring in more energy to be used. And then there's the intuition, that our higher self always knows what the best path is. From a million different paths that we can choose, our higher self shows us intuitively which one is better by using our emotions. Shows us that, okay, here you're going to feel a little bit better, here you're going to feel off, here you're going to be off the path in the weeds. But we don't always listen to it. So if we use these 3 tools, everything becomes much simpler. We don't think as much as we needed to think. And I want to do a small exercise that I think you guys are going to really, really love. It's an exercise that we do in the second day of my initiations. It's called a year from now exercise. And after that, we're going to analyze it. But right now, I just want you to connect with your inner child and open up your imagination. Now, I want you guys to find a partner. So everybody has 2 people, like 1 person with them. So you're in couples. And each one is going to have 7 minutes to talk about your ideal, most amazing year of your life, as if that year started tomorrow and you're talking a year from now in the future. In other words, I want you to remember the best year that has already happened to you. And I want you to let go of any limiting belief that you have. You have all the money you want in the bank. You can have a job, you don't have to have a job. Okay, you can have a partner, you don't have to have a partner. I want you to break the walls of limiting belief, and I want you to set your imagination completely free of everything that you thought. Now, there is one thing that you cannot do in this time, and that thing is that you cannot break the rules of the subconscious. In other words, the year that you had was amazing, you won the lottery 3 times, and traveled in Hawaii, and maybe you started flying by testing a rocket from some company, and you met any celebrity that you follow and stuff like that, but you did not become a goose that lays golden eggs, for example. You did not become Superman, maybe because Superman doesn't really exist for you. Your subconscious is going to say, no, I can't go there. I want you guys to go free and do everything. I want you to imagine everything that you actually wanted. What is it that you actually want to achieve in this year? But remember that you are remembering this year. So as you are saying everything that happened in this year, I want you to remember how it felt. How did it feel to win the Nobel Prize? How did it feel to 1, 2, 3, everything that you actually wanted? Now, I don't want anybody to get stuck because there's a lot of things you can imagine. The ball will start rolling as you start rolling, and your partner is going to ask you certain questions if you see that you get stuck. So your partner is going to go, yeah, oh, that's so good, oh, yeah. And then, you know, if you get a little bit stuck, maybe ask him a little question. If you went to Hawaii and you scuba dived with sharks, tell him, okay, how was the temperature of the water? How were the people there? You know, stuff like that, to get it just a little bit more spices and get your mind in the setting itself of how it actually felt to be there. After 7 minutes, I'm going to tell you guys to switch, and the other person can begin his remembrance of a year from now. Does everybody understand? Go yes with your head. So find a partner. The one that starts is the one that has longer hair, okay? If you don't have a partner, raise your hand so somebody else can find you from the other side of the room. And you guys can start, and I'm going to tell you when to switch.
Okay. Okay, we're ready.
Okay, you can start.
We're learning.
Okay, time's up. Let them know. So, can you unmute for a second, Grace? Can everybody tell me why we did this? Oh, no, no. Before that, give your partner a big hug and tell them, thank you for listening to me and thank you for doing this exercise with me. Come on, big hugs. Okay, can anybody
What is
tell
it?
me? I'm good. You can hear me? Yeah, I see there's a small delay. Can anybody tell me why we did this exercise? Well,
Manifesting.
okay, why? Why did we do this in manifesting? What do we get out of it?
We need to manifest as if it's already happened.
Okay, that's one thing. What else?
Did you hear that?
No, can you repeat what they say?
Okay, consciously taking control of our lives.
Definitely. So we're becoming more clear with what it is that we actually want, right? And by becoming clear with what it is that we want, we're actually telling our subconscious what we want. And then it can tell our higher self which alternative future we actually want to call us. Okay, why else? What's another reason that we did this exercise?
Okay, memories feel more real than than imagination
That's
and
right.
fantasizing about things.
That's right. So we actually connected our mental body with the clarity of what it is that we want with the emotional body, making it much more energizing it, fueling it up with the way that we feel. Because what we should concentrate on is the way of what we're going to feel in the end, in the reception end of whatever it is that we want to manifest in our life. So this exercise is created in order for us to break the limiting beliefs that we have created over our life. Like a small child that just believes in unlimited imagination, doing whatever it is that we want to do. As adults, we kind of like block that throughout the years. It's pretty much programming of society, of parents, of whatever it is that we can or can't achieve. It's sometimes not trusting ourselves. But when we do this exercise, we get the clarity. And it's not only about things that it's are impossible to gain or impossible to do. It's about a lot of things that we can actually do if we really, really want to. And sometimes I hear people, they just want to learn to play a guitar, and other people just want to travel a little bit, and we can all achieve those things. And right now some of you get this sensation that that year actually happened, some parts of it actually happened inside. And once something happens on the inside, we can actually feel that it can happen on the outside. So you feel the different vibration that you have. It's called excitement. It doesn't matter if it happened or it didn't happen. When we get into that excitement about the things that we don't, even just talking about it makes us feel it as if it already happened. And that makes it's like we're pulling this cord into the next exciting thing, into the next exciting thing. It's like a ball player, basketball or football player or anything like that. They will be on a roll, and we can be on a roll as well. Because remember those days that everything worked out. Why? Because we were in the highest vibration. We were in our excitement. So I want you guys to do an exercise with me. I want you to close your eyes, and you don't have to go into a meditative state or anything like that. If you want, take 2 big breaths to just let everything out before we begin. It's going to take just 5 minutes, and you're going to feel amazing with it. So let's take 1 deep breath through the nose to the belly with their eyes closed. And let anything that doesn't serve you go out as you exhale. And one more time. Inhale. And this time go. Now I want you to think about one thing that you want to manifest in your life. Just one thing. This thing can be an object. It can be a person, a relationship. It can be anything that you want, and change in your character maybe. One thing. Be clear about it. See that it's only one thing and not a bunch of things, to keep it simple. And define it using your words, using your imagination. Understand what it is and what it means for you. And now I want you to remove any imaginative thing, any word, and I want you to feel that thing as an energetic vibration. Just the energy of what that thing represents to you, that person, that relationship, that character change, that object that you really, really want to manifest. Now, when you feel that vibration, I want you to feel the opposite vibration. The vibration of how it feels to lack that thing in your life. You're missing it. It was the first thing that you thought about that you really want. How does it feel to not have it? What is the vibration? How does it look like in your mind? Does it have a certain color? How does it make your body feel? The missing of, the lack of. And now that you have this definition of how it feels to not have that one thing, I want you to imagine that there is a parallel, identical universe to ours. Everything is exactly the same. You, your family, your job, time, Everything that happened is exactly the same. And the only difference is in that place, you have that one thing that you really want here. You are living it. You have it exactly like you want it, in the perfect way. That thing, that person, that relationship, that character change, that one thing that you want. And I want you to see how it changes your perception, your day-to-day life. Start seeing the differences between you and the parallel you that is living that one thing. How do they feel? How do their life change? What is their routine like? And now that you see those differences and you can define them, I want you to ask your parallel self to come closer to you. It's you, so there's nothing to worry about. It's exactly you. And ask them if they can give you the gift of copying their vibration, their energetic vibration, their DNA, and everything that makes them who they are in that point in time. And of course, your parallel you is happy to be of service. So you put your hand on their shoulder and you start receiving their energy. You start copying their energy, their vibration, their DNA. And it's moving, and you can imagine this moving in different colors, moving as an energy, as a light. And you feel how it's moving and entering every cell of your being into your organs. And you're slowly becoming who they are. Your DNA is changing. You're becoming no different than who they are. You can even give them a hug and feel as you are embedding them into you, your whole body. The chakra system aligns. The four bodies come together with your four bodies: emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical. And you feel that you're no longer any different than they are. You feel identical in the vibration. You feel the light has transferred. And the universes are now exactly the same. You've managed to receive, to copy, to mimic, to be. And I want you to feel in your body and ask yourself this question: has the sensation of a lack changed even a little bit in my body? Has it changed even a little bit in my mind? And you can slowly open your eyes. This exercise, this very, very simple exercise, and yet profoundly effective, is called the parallel universes exercise. And when we want to manifest things, it begins with our mind, the definition, moves to our heart, how we feel about it, and then into an energy, a vibration that we actually can shift within our body. And then that feeling of a lack won't be there as much because we understood that we change it inside. And slowly but surely, the universe starts reflecting back to that sensation. We don't have to understand how it works. We just have to understand that when we change our mind about something, for example, I don't get sick. Why? Because I have a belief, a definition of what being sick feels like. I don't like it. I don't define health as a lack of sickness. I think that every human being is healthy. And therefore, my body doesn't need to get sick. Now, of course, maybe one day I'll get a virus or something that is, more extreme because I have a definition, I have a fear that my ego will not like the fact that I'm always saying that I'm not sick. And then that will be the challenge, that will be the story. Or like what happened to Jasmuheen, that she even got cancer in order for her to prove to herself and to others that follow her that she is capable of healing herself. So that changes within ourselves. We understand that. And of course, there's the theme that we predetermined ourselves to live. There's the milestones that we need to achieve, certain things in our life that we have to get to. But in between, There is the mastery, there's the letting go, and there's the free will of doing everything in whatever way we want, for the better, for the worse. You know, our intuition and our emotions are going to tell us where we are. And if you feel a calling to do this type of initiation, find the type of guide that you feel connected with. It doesn't matter. I think we have at least 4 or 5 different choices in the world today. And I think that the right type of person will be calling to you quite easily. You know, some people do another reset. They join us again from the old participants because they want to do just the 4 days of the dry fast. But what we actually want is to connect with that higher vibration again and see like-minded people. I know you guys didn't really have enough time because you guys are like running in between, you know, workshop and lecture and lecture. But in between, when you have time, suddenly you discover that you are no longer alone, that you are connecting with family, that the conversations are really high vibe. It's not about the weather, it's not about politics and stuff like that. Everyone has this like unique ability. Some people are NLP masters, some people can astral project, some people, you know, they can teach you so many different things in this type of events. So also take your time to meet each other and open yourself up immediately. I have absolutely no boundaries. I have absolutely no tact. I talk about everything, you know, social paradigms. I like breaking them. I like going on TV and showing all the people in the mainstream of how much they can open their mind and how much science doesn't really understand us and how much we should always ask questions, because that's how a spiritual seeking starts. It starts by us doubting everything that we have around us, and that's how the matrix breaks itself in front of our eyes and we see the truth. And the truth is internal, the truth is inside. So at this point, I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have. If it's about the initiation, my personal life, anything that you're struggling with, that you'd like to get some advice. Not all together. It always takes the first courageous person. Can you unmute?
Can you hear us now?
I can, thank you.
Thanks for an amazing presentation, man. It's been great participating with you. Can you tell us about this last year of your life, which has been the most amazing year of your life?
You talking about my real last year, or are you talking about the virtual last year that I need to invent while I'm doing this exercise?
It's up to you, whichever one you want to talk about.
Well, I can tell you that this has been, like, on the physical plane, this has been one of the most challenging years of my life, because I need so much freedom to charge my batteries up. And I have a baby. I have a newborn that's a year and 2 months old. And my God, it has been challenging. So the nights, arguments. I've never argued with anybody. Suddenly, I see that we have arguments over how we want to educate her, how we want to, feed her, not feed her, how we want to get her to sleep at night, not sleep at night, inoculation, not inoculation, all these type of things. And it has been challenging. And now I'm feeling that I'm going back into my body. But also, there's an energy switch in the planet, and we're getting more and more light, and that light pushes out our darkness. So there's some things that happen to me emotionally wise I never dealt with. Fears, anger, jealousy, all these emotions that are coming to surface that I assume I never actually had to deal with, and they were suppressed somewhere down in my subconscious. And now suddenly I have to deal with a lot of new and interesting things. I focus much more on my baby and my wife, which I hear right now. She's in the living room. Than I am on myself. So I'm learning, unconditional love. Now my ego thought I understood unconditional love before the baby, and now I know that wasn't true. So it's nice to discover that there's more to experience, a lot of new decisions, and I'm excited because in 2 months I'm going to go a little bit more mainstream. Until now I only worked with like-minded people like you guys, open-minded, willing to go take the extra mile and do things that are a little bit more, like ayahuasca and stuff like that, which are always cool. But now, in 2 months, I'm going to work with Johnson and Johnson employees. So one of my participants, one of my followers, she did the workshop with me 2 months ago in Los Angeles, and she's a director of 300 people there. And she liked it so much that she says, Ray, we have to make something a little bit smaller, like 2 days, but the same concepts. But I want to do it to people from the mainstream, people who work for me. So we got 80 people to sign up for a 2-day workshop, and we're going to surprise them. Like in the morning, imagine people like mainstream people coming in the morning. We're going to tell them, guys, you're not going to eat in these 2 days. And we're going to take your cell phone and your laptop now in order for you guys to be in that moment, as much as you can. And we're going to talk about manifestation. I'm going to show them Bashar. It's a challenge just to think, because people come with their own belief systems, and usually they're not really open-minded about changing those belief systems. So I'm excited about that. That's something new. I finished my second book a few months ago, and that was also great. And I wrote it in 2 weeks. It was already there. It was cached. And I did that in one of my processes. I just worked all night because, as a breatharian, you don't really need to sleep that much. So a lot of cool things happened to me in the last year. But what do I want? When I visualize what it is that I want to make a profound change in humanity. I want to help raise the frequency and the vibration of the planet by opening people's minds to the things that they didn't believe is possible. So when I visualize what I want to manifest, I usually visualize I have this like frame that I'm standing in front of a huge crowd, somewhere between the 500 to 1,000 people, talking about these type of things, about manifestation, about prana, about the ability to live, beyond the constraints of our minds, opening up people's minds to different possibilities, and actually helping them change their own life, because I see a lot of suffering around me. I'm not judging this suffering. I understand that this is a part of the human journey, of something that we need to go through. And I do believe that, 500 years ago, there was much more suffering when there was one king, and, for every 1,000 people that were just working the land and not having anything in their life. But I do feel and see that the world is changing, so I'm happy for that. And yeah, that's usually what I imagine when I think that I want something. That's on the materialistic plane also, because that means that I also succeeded in combining, materialism with my spiritual path, because I believe really everything is one, and that one reflects back. And that's, by the way, what my new book is about. It's called Soul, Spirit, and Savings. So it's about, our materialistic desires, but our spiritual path, and how we can combine the two, and not having those limiting beliefs about our capabilities to be more successful, and yet more enjoying of everything that we do. Thank you for that question. You made me do the exercise myself, and I already feel the excitement about just thinking about those type of things. Unmute, unmute, unmute. Ah, thank you.
Hello, Ray.
Hey, brother.
How are you?
I'm good. Very good. Thank you.
My name is Emmanuel, and I've been creating the festival with Grace here and my partner, and it's the first time that I get to talk to you. So thank you for being here and for sharing with us. There is one main thing that that has really inspired me. Your books, your talks, your videos, everything is fantastic. I really love it. There is one thing, I'm a trainer. I train quite a lot, and seeing like the achievement that you've made, with your body being breatharian is absolutely fantastic. You've said that you've arrived to a point where you're actually, putting some more weights on, and I wanted to inquire precisely about that specifically in your training, and like how much you put weight on, and things like that, like in terms of, someone that trains to someone that trains as well.
I'll tell you a few things about that. The first thing is that the more you'll think about it, the more you'll want it. You're actually not trusting enough, because especially after the initiation, when we just start, we're losing a lot of weight. I went 11 kilos under what I am right now, and I'm very tall. I'm 6'4". I'm 1 meter 94, and I stand out. So when a person stands out and is so skinny, then a lot of people come with ridicule and judgment, and then that, that really reduces your frequency if you listen to them. And if you have an expectation that one day you're going to add that weight back again. And my mentor told me, and I tell it to everyone in the process, the more you think about it, the more you're going to lose weight. And then when you let go of it and understand and embrace it, then you're going to start adding weight to go to your ideal weight. Now, I can tell you, and maybe it's a limiting belief, that I don't get bigger than what I am today. I'm good, yeah. I'm not skinny like I used to be and anything like that. I work out, but I don't. I'm stronger, but my muscles are not becoming bigger. As you see, they're not huge, they're not small or anything like that. But I'm not like growing much more. But Bashar told me, and he gave me a great exercise that really helped me in the time that I wanted to buff up. He told me that as you are exercising, I want you to breathe, when we breathe and visualize together, I want you to breathe that air through your pineal into the muscle group that you're exercising right now. So you sort of like when you're in the gym, which is exactly where I'm going in an hour, you're sort of like meditating while you're doing it. So if I'm running, I'm actually thinking about my feet. And you notice that it's becoming easier. And if I'm, pushing or bench pushing, I'm thinking about my chest and my arms a little bit. And he said that the fact that you're thinking about it actually moves more muscle there, actually creates more protein, and knows how to divide the resources of the body in a better way. And I do know that before that, my ego wanted a bigger body. I wanted to stand out. And after the initiation, my ego was really minimized. I was much less concerned about my outside. I was more concerned about not looking, like an Indian, like a starving Indian. Because in Israel, it's a problem. We have the Holocaust that happened 70 years ago, and a lot of people are still traumatized by being underweight. So your parents, your grandparents, they take it, they can have a heart attack if they think that somebody's starving or anything like that. So that's the two things. First is let go of the expectation, because for a while, your body's going to change. You have to shrink, move all the toxins out, let the system, it's like a surgery. And after a while, you can start building it up. Now, it depends on you. There's many variables to where you're going to land in your pranic percentage. I know some people that are very high, like Leslie and I, and some people are very low. I would say 60, 70%. And that means that they drink occasional shake, or they drink more juice than other people, or they eat occasionally because they have maybe stress in their life. Maybe they don't believe it enough, or they judge themselves. The more you are in your present, the more you are focused on what you have in front of you, and you enjoy your life, the easier it becomes. Energy just flows. And then the person can train more. Using the body, I moved from weight lifts much more into cardio, flexibility, and breathing exercises. I noticed that before that, I was concentrating on my external looks, and now I want to concentrate on health. And health is not, adding more and more mass. It's good to be, to look good for yourself, also for your ego, the way that you perceive yourself, because it makes you have more self-security, trust yourself. But the body actually wants other things. It prefers a deeper breath exercise, meditation, cardio, like even walking with a little bit of running or anything like that. And when you find the perfect balance, you will notice that the way that you look is amazing. It's amazing, especially when after the initiation you lose all the fat, so the muscle tone looks much better on you. You can actually see the muscles, because what actually happens with a lot of people that train is that they start eating much more than they need, and then they get buffed. Especially guys. Guys think that the buff look is the attractive look. No, the lean with some muscle look is much more attractive than the actual buff that I'm a big type of guy look. Ask the ladies; they'll tell you, right? I don't hear anybody, but I assume I assume there's like yeses in the crowd. Yeah. So two things. First, you can start exercising with this. Breathe into your muscles and see how that changes. See how you feel the muscles much more, because the body has about 4 billion receptors, but only when we shift, when we think about our hands, we suddenly feel them tinkling a little bit. When we think about our cheeks, or when we meditate, we think about how we can, drop the jaw and have the eyes closed. We move every muscle group. We're actually sending them more information, more light, more awareness into that particular place. You're welcome.
I think that's all from us.
Perfect. So, my friends, I invite you to join us in November. Grace is going to tell you everything that you know. You have a lot of questions. Just ask her. She's been one of the most amazing facilitators that I had so far. Thank you, Grace, for choosing me to come and give you guys some more information. And take your time, guys. Rest a little bit. Enjoy the Pranic Festival.
Thank you.
Bye.